Thank you for joining me for this presentation. Today we're going to focus on U.S. government, and we're looking at Unit 1, Foundations of U.S. Democracy. And we're actually working on the last tutorial for this unit, which is the Constitution and the Bill of Rights tutorial. Please make sure, like I've always mentioned to you before, that you are able to take notes, and this way you can better answer all of the questions that you will encounter throughout the tutorial. Make sure that you are ready. Make sure that you are taking your time in order to complete these assignments. You cannot be rushing through the assignments, and this way, obviously, if you take your time, you will comprehend the content that is being presented to you. And the objective for this lesson is that you will investigate the principles and structure of the Constitution and the protections afforded by the Bill of Rights. Let's move on. This is page 5 of the Constitution and Bill of Rights tutorial. This is your lesson activity, and let's review the directions here. Read the instructions for this self-checked activity, type in your response for each question, and check your answers. At the end of the activity, write a brief evaluation about your work. Activity. For more than 200 years, the United States has relied on its Constitution to set the laws of society, determine the functions of government, and protect the liberties of people. Many nations around the world have based their own Constitution on the U.S. Constitution. Using your knowledge and information you find online, answer the question. So part A is asking you, why do you think the United States has a Constitution? What role does a written Constitution play in everyday society in the United States, of course? Well, you need to review what you already know from previous classes and from previous knowledge, and you need to explain here in a good solid paragraph, at least 5 strong sentences, why the United States has a Constitution. How has the Constitution helped shape our government? How has the Constitution helped put out laws that help control everything that goes on in our country? And do you think society is happy with the Constitution? Do you think society has benefited from the Constitution? This also includes, obviously, a Bill of Rights. Now, part B is asking you, the Constitution has 7 articles and 27 amendments. France's Constitution has 92 articles, and China has 243 sections. What are the benefits of having a shorter written Constitution? Please think about it. If you have too much writing, what's going to happen? If you have too little writing, what's going to happen? Are you over-explaining or are you under-explaining? Make sure that you provide, again, a good, solid paragraph here in order to answer this question. By the way, you're more than welcome to write 2, 3, 4 paragraphs, as long as you're providing or letting your teacher know that you have good knowledge of what's being asked from you. Part C is asking you to, actually it says, what might be the benefit of having a longer Constitution as France and China do? This is, in this case, your personal opinion about the Constitution, depending if you think that a longer Constitution benefits the nation, or if you think that a shorter Constitution benefits the nation, and if so, why? Make sure that you provide, again, a solid paragraph here. Now, let's move on to the next activity. We are now on page 20 of the Constitution and Bill of Rights tutorial, and like previous other activities, you also have to answer questions. Remember that your answers should be in a paragraph format and should be at least a solid paragraph each time you provide an answer. And let's just read, in this case, this lesson activity, article of the Constitution, and we're going to look at the activity information here. The Founding Fathers understood the importance of having a fluid Constitution that can be changed if needed, but they also understood that it should be difficult to change the Constitution. Think about how the U.S. government can amend the Constitution. Read the text of Article 5 and this article on the amendment process, and then conduct further research to answer the questions below. This is really important for you to understand because you're also given right here different resources. For example, this link over here on the Article 5, also the link over here on the amendment process. All of that, all of these links can actually help you provide solid answers here. On top of that, you can also make sure that you go ahead and look online. You know, there's like hundreds of resources online that will help you put together the information that is being asked here. And part 8 says create an infographic or flowchart that shows the steps for proposing and ratifying an amendment. Here you need to be able to put together all the information and make sure that you show your teacher that you are aware, that you know how an amendment is ratified, and that you can do that obviously on a separate software and upload it here, or you can actually write it down. Either way, it should reflect knowledge of what you know, and it should let your teacher know that you know exactly what you're talking about. Now, part B says, in the table provided below, note that the method for proposing an amendment, the method for ratifying an amendment, and how many times each method has been used. Conduct research as needed to complete the table. And if you see here, you have this table here, and you need to fill it out. And it says right here, methods for proposing an amendment. You need to write the first method. You need to write the second method. And what are the methods for ratifying that amendment? What needs to happen in the Senate? What needs to happen with each state? And then the number of times used to propose an amendment based on the method that you mentioned. And then the number of times used to ratify an amendment also here. So make sure that you fill this out. You need to be thorough on your information. Do not just write one word or two words. Make sure that you are able to explain in a couple of sentences here all of the information that is required. And that part C says, consider your research and your findings above. Write a 2-paragraph essay discussing why you think the amendment process is easy or is difficult. Which process for proposing an amendment is easiest and which is most difficult? Which process for ratifying an amendment is easiest and which is most difficult? Based on the information that you wrote here on part B and based on the information that you wrote on part A, you need to be able to clearly put together an essay here that will reflect your knowledge. And remember, we want here at least 2 solid paragraphs. We are now moving on to page 30 of the Constitution and Bill of Rights tutorial. And let's read what you're being asked to do here. How does the Bill of Rights protect the unalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness listed in the Declaration of Independence? So now you're looking at 2 documents, the Declaration of Independence, and you're looking at the Bill of Rights. You need to see what the Declaration of Independence said about life. You need to see what it said about liberty, and you need to see what it said about the pursuit of happiness. And once you see that, then you need to go to the Bill of Rights and see what the Bill of Rights say about that. And how does the Bill of Rights protect life? How does it protect liberty? And how does it protect pursuit of happiness? Finally, we're at page 35. I believe this is the last activity that you need to do here. And here you basically are given a whole bunch of amendments. In this case, you tiles with the names of amendment: 13th Amendment, 14th Amendment, 19th Amendment, 21st Amendment, and 26th Amendment. In this case, you need to read what it's telling you here. In this case, gave women the right to vote, repeal the prohibition against the sale of alcohol. You need to see which amendment actually goes with each description here, and make sure that you are paying close attention to this, because you will be using a whole bunch of this information as you move forward in this class. Once you're done with this, plugging in all of these amendments, you should be able to move on and complete your other tutorials, your other unit activities. And I will talk to you soon.